a towering and transcendent figure in African politics, former head of state and president of the Republic of Ghana, Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings is admired widely on the continent of Africa and internationally for his patriotism, sincerity, drive, and participatory leadership approach. Jerry John Rawlings was many things. He was an officer, a pilot, a husband, and a father. He was a revolutionary, a hero, and a philanthropist. He was a celebrated statesman, and he was a former president of the Republic of Ghana. Collectively, these are all the titles and duties of a life that has been well lived. But no single title captures his most important contribution as a public servant. Above all, Jerry Rawlings was a man of the people, a selfless man who gave his life willingly in service to the ordinary Ghanaian. His life's work was not to champion the causes of those with wealth or power or special connections. It was to give a voice to those who were not heard. The strength of Jerry Rawlings was his sincere dedication to the cause of the working poor and oppressed masses. Quote, "For myself, I am ready for whatever sacrifices are required in such a struggle for a better life for our people, and I will forever work with and be at the service of the people who share that common cause," unquote. He was given the gift of empathy and was able to humbly feel for and show compassion for the pain and suffering of others. The sick child who could not see a doctor, or the young soldier denied his basic human rights. He understood the language of the people, and he articulated it with all conviction and empathy. By calling on workers, soldiers, farmers, policemen, teachers, and students to raise their consciousness. Known for his anti-corruption credentials, Jerry Rawlings was a profound and fearless advocate for social justice, accountability, and the political and socio-economic empowerment of Ghana's people. He eventually made his mark on the world by committing to a purpose much bigger than himself. For Jerry Rawlings, that meant answering the highest of callings, which was serving his country in a time of extreme deprivation. Throughout his life, President Jerry John Rawlings used his gift to touch as many lives and right as many wrongs as the years would allow. Early life and education. Jerry John Rawlings was born on June 22, 1947, in Accra, Ghana. He was first named Jeremiah Rawlings John and was baptized Roman Catholic. His father, James Ramsey John, a pharmacist from Scotland, migrated to the Gold Coast, Ghana in 1935 to work and become head of the Kingsway Chemists. His mother, Madame Victoria Abutri, from Jelokupe in the Volta region, was the head of the catering department at the State House. Raised by his mother, she wanted her son to be a doctor. But at the young age of 6, Rawlings recalled telling his mother that he wanted to be a pilot. He enrolled in the prestigious Achimota School in 1961, where he was very active in the school choir and Red Cross. He also excelled at the cadet corps, which suited his no-nonsense and disciplined personality. It was therefore not a surprise to his classmates when he joined the Ghana Air Force. Jerry Rawlings was also one student who stood up to bullies and described by his year group as someone who always looked out for the weak and vulnerable and defended them. With his sole passion for flying, Jerry Rawlings enlisted as a flight cadet of the Ghana Air Force after Achimota in August 1967, and was subsequently selected for officer cadet training at the Ghana Military Academy and Training School in Teshi, Accra, when he enlisted as a flight cadet at the age of 20. Jerry's surname was changed from John to Rawlings. Assuming John to be a second Christian name, the Air Force administration made a clerical error and recorded Rawlings as his surname. He has been known ever since as Jerry John Rawlings. As part of his ongoing training, he was posted to the Takoradi Air Force Base in the Western region in 1968, where he subsequently advanced and became a commissioned pilot officer of the Ghana Air Force in January 1969, and was awarded the Distinguished Speedbird Trophy for his outstanding airmanship. He got posted to No. 1 Transport Squadron for his operational conversion and training on the DHC Otter aircraft. In June 1970, Jerry Rawlings was posted to the Communications Squadron, Air Force Station Accra, as a squadron pilot flying the Beaver aircraft. And shortly after, in December 1970, he was then reposted to No. 1 Squadron, Air Force Station, Takoradi, to continue with his operational duties as a squadron pilot on the Beaver and Otter aircraft. Just a month after January 1971, Jerry John Rawlings was interviewed and selected to join the prestigious No. 4 Fighter Squadron at the Air Force Station in Accra. He began his conversion and operational training on the MB-326F aircraft, and in April 1972, he was appointed Station Adjutant to the commanding officer of the Air Force Station Accra, and appointed officer in charge of stations Operation Feed Yourself project, the flagship project of General Achampong's National Redemption Council. A natural workaholic and one who enjoyed working in the outdoors, Jerry John Rawlings took his responsibility very seriously and dedicated all of his off-duty hours to this task. He was a natural leader, so it came second nature to him to motivate the officers and men under his command to participate actively in the project. He single-handedly operated the station tractor to plow all arable lands on the Air Force Station, which earned him the admiration of the officers and especially the airmen. His dedication to the project yielded a bumper harvest, which was short-lived when the mode of distribution was deemed most inequitable, much to the utmost dissatisfaction of the young officer. The majority of the harvest went to the commanding officer, which was a common practice in the Ghana Army at the time. He openly expressed his dissatisfaction when approached by the commanding officer with the order, "My boot is open, fill it." His utterances earned him the respect and endeared him to the hearts of the officers and especially the airmen. This singular event in his career propelled him as a unique and empathetic leader who cared for the welfare of his men and the downtrodden. In June 1973, Jerry Rawlings was reposted to the No. 4 Fighter Squadron to continue and complete his operational training on the Air Maquis aircraft. The training was made up of general formation flying and combat, as well as tactical formation flying to include air-to-ground firing at the Bundasi range. This included live firing with rockets, strafing, high-angle bombing, and skip bogging at the Gambaga live firing range. After these operations, Flight Lieutenant Rawlings gained his combat readiness certification. Jerry Rawlings was a highly skilled and efficient officer with a close rapport with his men, which earned him the rank of Flight Lieutenant in April 1978. By then, he had married his childhood sweetheart and longtime girlfriend, Nana Ajiman, in 1977, at a wedding held at Rite Church. The young couple will soon welcome their first child, whom he named Zanetto, meaning, "Let the darkness end," in his mother tongue, Ewe. The name symbolized a call to the end, to end the economic and social misery that Ghana was undergoing. This signified his personal hope that the state of decay would stop, in spite of economic hardships and a new family to provide for. Jerry Rawlings maintained his gift of giving. After June 4th, 1979, the couple's home went from their little oasis to an unofficial refuge for people that believed in Jerry John Rawlings' ideals. Rawlings returned to power in December 31st, 1981, thrust the young couple into a political trajectory where Nana Konadu, a young first lady, saw an opportunity to contribute to rebuilding Ghana through the development of women politically and socio-economically. After the birth of Zanetto, the young couple went on to have 3 more children, with each one named after an African freedom fighter, Ya Asante I of the Asante Empire, Princess Amina of Sokoto and Zaria, and Kimati of the Kikuyu people, a strong indication of his political ideals and that we have a duty to fight for what is just, even at the cost of our own lives. Early political career. When Jerry Rawlings became head of state of Ghana in 1981, he inherited the worst economy in the nation's history. Food and fuel were scarce. Store shelves were empty, and people had to queue for hours just to buy a tin of milk or a loaf of bread. Every Ghanaian was affected by increasing food shortages and long bread queues. In the rural areas outside of Accra, people lived in dire deprivation, but perhaps better than those in Accra's growing slum areas, which often had unpaved, potholed roads, lacked electricity or sanitation, and offered the unskilled poor no way of bettering their lot. In a string of setbacks that would have broken a lesser man and would have been easy for Rawlings to retreat from public life and live out his years in peaceful quiet. But that was not Jerry Rawlings. This is where he showed his character, his patriotism, his faith, and his endurance in the worst of possible circumstances. Throughout the 1980s, Jerry Rawlings led the country through the difficult years of economic recovery. In 1983, he initiated the Economic Recovery Program, ERP, a pragmatic economic program to reverse Ghana's collapsed economy and subsequently revive the financial health of the country in order to generate positive economic growth. After several years, the ERP's successful implementation restored international confidence in Ghana and in turn succeeded in restoring national pride in Ghanaians. With unwavering determination, Jerry Rawlings brought government closer to the people by reintegrating the grassroots, including market women, fishermen, informal workers, and other urban poor and working class people into national politics. He encouraged citizens to participate in local governance through the People Defense Committees, PDCs, established by the PNDC to mobilize the masses and hold politicians accountable for their actions. Rawlings' primary objective was the institutionalization of the system of participatory governance that allows, in his words, people at the local level to determine their own development priorities, generate